I'm doing a little bit different flip through today. This is Zolar's Astrological Tarot. I did some research. This one is actually the 1965 version. So I'm going to flip through the cards like this, show front and back. So I did look through the cards and I have all the cards here. I was a little bit concerned because I won these at a local auction. I feel like I got a steal of a deal on this. Some of these decks are going upwards of $100, just depending on the version, the condition. Usually the cheapest end I found was $60. So either way, I feel like I got a good deal. When I was first coming through this, I wasn't sure if they were all here because the people that had them did not have them in order. You could tell they tried to put them in order, but it's a little bit confusing. So if you're not familiar with the deck, this is basically a tarot deck. It uses the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith artwork, and then it's also playing cards, so it's a little bit different. If I remember, if I'm saying this correctly, there are 55 cards total. You can see as I'm flipping through, some of these have the astrological signs on the back. Also, when I did some research, they said the Fool is a card that you can tell what deck you have. So I forget what they were. I think green is the first print, red is the second, and then a different color. It might be the gray for the next version. But I actually found the card that had the date on this one. So again, they have the traditional Rider-Waite. They also have cards if you want to use these as playing cards. And on the back, they have lucky numbers, astrology symbols, and the Major Arcana. So you don't use this like you would a traditional tarot deck. I'm actually going to try to do a few of the spreads from the book. So I'll put those at the end of the video in case anybody wants to see how this deck works, because I kind of have to figure it out too. But from my understanding that you are going to take separate piles, the different colors of the cards on the back, they go into a pile. This is weird. Some of these are upside down, I guess. Oh, whoops. So you would have the different colors, and then you use the decks for different type of readings. So there was like, supposedly you can do like horoscope readings and stuff like that is what I'm seeing from the book. I haven't actually tried the spread yet, so we'll see. One question that I had, and one reason that I wanted to buy this deck, is I was wondering if the little wordings up here were going to be same as the Rider-Waite. Some of them are somewhat similar meanings. Like if you look at this card here, I was looking at the readings a little bit. You know, it can kind of be loosely interpreted how the tarot is, but if you are familiar with tarot cards themselves and want to use that for a learning tool, I would say this is not a good learning tool, and this is a good example. It says the 8 of Wands, a successful journey, a swift courtship ending in a marriage. And then the reverse, if it was to come up this way, says family quarrels, jealousy, disagreements. So if you know what this card means in the tarot card, it usually means some form of fast communication. So it's kind of similar, I guess, in a way, like a very loose way. But it does say in the book that you won't be able to basically learn tarot cards from that. So I don't really know why they have the artwork on here. It's just kind of a neat concept. I just really wanted to get my hands on this deck when I discovered it a couple years ago. I just thought it was really cool, but is definitely out of my budget. So again, super excited about this. I think I may have put something in the wrong order there. But anyway, what do you guys think of this deck so far? Would this be something that you're interested in? I was thinking of doing a card deck similar to this style. So I kind of wanted to see how this worked itself, how you're utilizing it. A lot of people have said this deck is wildly accurate. Also, a thing when it says that when you're doing the readings, you don't do more than one reading in 24-hour time window. And this is the card, here, I'll show you. So I knew which print edition I had. It's a little advertisement. I think there was another card that was more of like an advertisement in here as well. And the paper stock on this, sorry, my camera, I'm trying to get to focus, is very thin. Honestly, I don't know if it's because this is just very worn, But these are almost as thin or thinner than a traditional deck of playing cards. And then that's the other one. This one just talks about horoscopes and such. Also, I'll show the box really quick too before we move on. This is the orange box version. Just kind of looks like this. It's pretty simple, generic. Mine is very worn. It doesn't have a tab at the top. And then it has the instructions on how to read, which again, these are very worn out. But in the back somewhere, it talks about numerology too, I think. All right, the first way to read these cards is the astrological fortune-telling cards. To be honest, all of the ways you read these cards are a little bit confusing to me. I think it would take some time to practice and understand how to use these. It's not as easy as it claims to be. So it says, first shuffle the cards thoroughly and make a silent wish. Place the deck on the table and cut the cards into 3 piles with your left hand, then stack the one pile on top of the other. Pick the deck up and deal faces up, starting with the upper left-hand corner in 3 rows of 4 cards, then each in the same manner, and place the cards in the diagram that is already dealt out, and it shows a picture of a diagram. Remember the 8 cards may now be, the remaining 8 cards may now be set aside as you have no further use for them. You are now ready to start the first step in reading your fortune. If the red Mars appears in the fortune layout, your wishes will not come true. Note, if the red Mars should appear with your sign of zodiac or the sign of the zodiac person from whom you're reading, it indicates the receipt of some very good news in the immediate future. On the other hand, if a black Mars appears with your zodiac sign, it's a warning to avoid extravagant urges and speculative ventures during the following week. To start reading the cards, begin with the 2 cards in the upper left-hand corner. Be sure to place each of the 2 cards in the original position and have further use for them. Combine the readings of each of the cards where it's plausible. Otherwise, read the cards separately. And then it goes on and tells you examples. Again, I think unless I set up the examples exactly how they tell you, the examples just come off a little bit weird. But anyways, I'm going to also, now you're ready to read the second part. So this is another part of it. Place each of the 2 cards in the layout directly on top of each other. Look at the 12 cards on the upper pile and see if there are any of the same planets side by side. For example, a black sun by a red sun, or a black moon besides a red moon, and so on. Print it on the cards now, and then, hold on here. Sorry, I had to go back to the book and see what was referencing our card layout. So we have Saturn side by side, which could indicate a trip to another state. They're not really side by side in ours, but they are touching, so I will go ahead and use it. So I could see how this could be fun. Then it also kind of talks about reading the messages on there. Also says, after you've read the predictions of the planets appearing side by side on the top pile, remove the top 12 cards and know that the planets will appear side by side on the bottom 12 cards and interpret their meanings accordingly. This completes the second part of your reading. It says, note the cards appearing on top of each other are not considered side by side. So that's why I was kind of a little bit confused, but see how we have the Saturns touching? If you have 7 or more red cards, it has something, and green cards. So we had 8 green cards. It says if you have 7 or more green cards, it indicates that you expect improvement in your financial affairs. And then it says if you have 5 or less black cards, which we did not have, and then the red cards, we didn't have anything for that either. So you kind of read it that way. I see how this could be fun. It's a short way to get a reading. All right, the next section talks about using just the Major Arcana cards out of this deck. So it says to kind of shuffle them up the same way. You are also going to make a silent wish with this one. And apparently if the Wheel of Fortune appears in your layout, you will get your wish. If the Wheel of Fortune is reversed, there will be some obstacles or delays, but you will eventually get your wish. In this system, fortune telling is a good idea to study the 14 cards that appear on the layout as a clue to the activities during the next 7 days. So it's like a 7-day reading. Which also, the book also has more meanings on some of the cards. basically all the different suits, but that's more on the suit reading. And then it just has examples, so it's kind of weird. And it says to complete the readings in this manner until you have read all 7 pair cards. Note, you should have 2 cards that are extremely contradictory. For example, the Wheel of Fortune and the Moon would say you will have good luck and good fortune in most endeavors, but some who have found you will meet misfortune and disappointments due to foolish hopes and dreaming. Take various cards I've used in my example and pick them out and put them together. And this can indicate a lesson in your reading. So again, it's a little bit strange. This way of reading the cards wasn't that great to me. I'm not sure how I would utilize it, but it is definitely kind of interesting. It kind of goes with the regular Major Arcana if you're familiar with tarot, but it also is a little bit different. The next portion of the book shows you how to do a lucky number draw. This one by far was the easiest, but also kind of limited. Basically what you could do is take maybe 3 to 5 cards and pick them if you wanted to get lottery numbers or just lucky numbers for the week. So that was pretty simple and straightforward. The final and last way that the book tells you to use these cards is to use the 56 Minor Arcana cards, and they often, or they look more like playing cards. It says you can shuffle through the cards and mixing them up however way you want. It also talks about making a silent wish. Cut the deck with your left hand and deal towards you. Deal out 5 in a row from left to right. Reshuffle and cut the deck. Do the same thing in the same time manner. Deal out a second row, and then place the cards about a third from where they are. So they're placing them on top of each other. And then it has certain rules. If a 10 of Cups appears, your wish will come true sometime in the next 30 days. And then it also says to study the meanings on the cards, and you can see if there's any red flags or anything like that. This was somewhat easier, but there was another one where you just keep adding them on top of each other. I don't know where it is. I can't find it now in the book. But basically the long way to do it, you line them up and then you select a card that is your signifier card before you start dealing. And then from that point on, you count out like 8 cards, and then you take that pile and count out another 8 cards. So you go all the way through all 56 cards. This configuration seemed to take the most time to set up and seemed not practical in my opinion, but overall I think these cards are okay. They probably wouldn't be something that I will use regularly. I might actually just incorporate them with my regular tarot cards and use them for clarifying cards, or maybe like an oracle deck, or maybe pick a lucky number here and there. I think these are a great party trick type of deck. I don't think it's good for regular tarot card reading, although if you did study these cards, it would be something that you can use that way. I just don't think that they are quite as intuitive as the deck claims it to be. I'm trying to find the correct words for it. I do think it is something cool to have in your collection if you are a person that does collect them. Would I spend hundreds of dollars on this deck or recommend somebody do that? Probably not. Like I said, I found mine fairly cheap and I feel like I got it for a steal. So let me know in the comments down below what you think of this. Just like to hear some feedback from you guys. What is your